Hey there, welcome back to High Infidelity, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to channel for more spicy stories. Now, let's get into today's story video.
Cheat on me? You deserve what's coming. This all happened around 5 years ago. My then wife and I had been married for around 3 years at that time. She was raised in an extremely strict Christian home. Her parents disliked me because 1, I am not religious, and 2, I am a Democrat. They did all they could to persuade her not to marry me, but it was futile. In retrospect, I wish they had persuaded her not to marry me. My wife started to withdraw at some point during our marriage. We moved from having 3 times per week to 3 times per month to once per month. She informed me that she didn't much like having and that she just did it to please me. What I didn't realize was that she didn't want to have so much with me since she got her somewhere else. How did I discover this? My wife was using my laptop. Her laptop was being serviced and inadvertently checked the Remember Me option on her email. When I tried to check my email, it was forwarded to hers. I witnessed every communication she sent to this man, which essentially verified her cheating on me. I filed for divorce, just like any sensible person who understands their marriage is finished. I also informed the other man's GF, who swiftly left him. Now, as I previously indicated, her folks were never really fond of me. They were furious when they found out I was divorcing her. She allegedly lied to them, claiming that I cheated on her. Every other week, I received venomous emails from them. After our divorce was finalized, I informed her parents of her infidelity and provided them documentation. Her father emailed me to apologize and express his disappointment in his daughter. I just had one response: you now have a better understanding of your daughter's personality. Please do not contact me again. Since then, none of them has contacted me. A year or so after our divorce, I get a lengthy email from my ex with the subject "Thanks." I expected it to be some kind of thank you note, but it was far from that. Some of it included things like, "Thanks for making my parents hate me. Thanks for forcing me to cheat on you, and thanks for destroying my life." That was the last I heard from her. Her parents had abandoned her, and she was the laughingstock of the little village where she grew up. According to Facebook, she now resides in Australia, but given that she hasn't posted anything in 3 years, I may be mistaken. Also, do you recall the girlfriend of the person with whom my wife was cheating on me? That lady is now my fiancé. Story 2. Caught wife flirting/texting another man, seeking advice. We've been married for 5 years. I know we've had a few squabbles here and there, but they always appeared to be on my end. I never had any reason to believe she was unhappy in our marriage, since she would constantly point out other couples' difficulties and tell me, "You see, our problems aren't that terrible." Having said that, we never truly communicate about stuff. We both come from difficult backgrounds and have built barriers to some extent, with hers clearly greater than mine. She's always been an independent person, which is one of the reasons I adore and fell in love with her in the first place. While I'm more open about my emotions, if we failed, I know it was due to a breakdown of communication. We both have tough careers. She just began a new one that requires long hours and a lot of overtime, so we hardly ever see one another. We did communicate and discussed how difficult this would be and some of the things we would have to do to get through till our hours normalized. I struggled with the separation from the start, but we both tried to make it work. Then everything appeared to become one-sided. Instead of communicating, I removed myself once again, but it turns out she had already been messaging this guy before I did. As I previously said, we both have highly demanding professions, with mine becoming more stressful in recent years. I've been on a mental, focused self-reflection and personal improvement journey to be the best person I can be, and for a time I was concentrating on coping with that job stress. Around this time, I finally broke through. It was during this week or two that I shifted my mindset or attention to our connection. Should have done it sooner. I recognized our lack of communication, the gap that appeared to be growing between us, and wondered why I wasn't attempting to close it even if I didn't believe she was. So I sat us down 3 evenings in a row for extensive heart-to-heart chats. We discussed our difficulties and what we expected from ourselves and one another. I told her about my self-reflection and my desire to be the greatest spouse possible. But even those chats felt one-sided, and I began to see warning signs. The typical habits had shifted. Our interactions and SMS messages shifted. When I stayed up late with her, she would always urge me to go to bed. I spotted her messaging someone while sitting in her vehicle in the garage before she left for work, and when she got home, I noticed a text on her home screen that read "Miss you" from one of her old pals with whom she doesn't have a connection. When I went to investigate, I saw her passcode had been changed. When I later questioned her about it, she gave me a pretty hazy explanation. I had a feeling something was wrong. We were sitting next to each other the following night, Christmas Eve, when she received a text, glanced at it quickly, and put her phone down. I remembered the time it came in, and she advised I go to bed early once again. I searched through her phone when she was sleeping and found no texts from that time period. I discovered these while searching through old documents. She had sent a text message to someone at her new employment. Photographs are being exchanged, and there is a lot of flirting going on. I approached her, and we had a tremendous argument. She had kept this man's phone number under the name of an old buddy. She apparently removed them every night, but failed to do so this time since I was distracted her. She claims it was simply flirting through text and when he came by her desk, and that it lasted only a few weeks, despite the fact that I was able to check the text log from our carrier, and it went back farther than she claimed. It returned to where it was before I noticed the distance. She claims that the attention from another guy, who is also married, delighted her, but she knew it was wrong from the start and throughout the process. That it's natural for me to tell her how lovely she is or do anything nice for her since I'm her husband, but when he did it, it affected her. She claims she was in complete control the whole time, and that it would never have developed to anything else. How do I think she was caught if she didn't stop it? Furthermore, she went out of her way to get his phone number escalated, and she was the one who began it with, "Are you just being nice, or do you find me attractive?" Hello, escalation. She maintains it didn't mean anything, that she never desired this guy, and that she was simply doing it to find out why she was doing it. She also claims she contacted him to terminate it, but erased the messages and his phone number to show me she's cut him out of her life, which makes no sense to me. She seems sincere in her grief over what occurred and her desire to move on, but how can I trust her? She didn't do anything about it. She kept doing it until she was caught. What would it have been, and when would it have ended? If she's speaking the truth, I can comprehend some of what she's saying. I like comments from women, particularly because my wife isn't the sort to compliment me at all, which makes this hurt even more since I am that type to her. But my wife is constantly with me in my heart and mind, and it's not even a consideration since I chose her. I have low self-esteem, and although she has never had it, I could understand if it was a factor. That happens to folks, I know. But once again, you are faced with a decision. And to consciously know it's bad and you're hurting the person, as she has told me she knew from the start and has considered throughout, you claim to love and yet continue to do it. You'll have to keep doing it to find out why. That's the portion I'm having the most trouble with. Because she figured it out as soon as she was caught and we were conversing during our fight. Again, hello communication. It also stings because not only did she not stop, but she persisted even throughout and after our heart-to-hearts. She says that our conversations affected the way she texted him, and that it was solely on his side at the time, yet the very last thing she sent him was, "I've been thinking about you too, every day." I doubt her concern, respect, thoughtfulness, and love for me. Not to mention being absolutely upset and heartbroken. I adore her, and a part of me wants to make it work, to believe her. On top of all the sorrow and suffering that must be healed, how can you do so while also attempting to reestablish any semblance of trust and dealing with the other relationship issues? Communication. How can I accept what she says occurred when she no longer has my trust and has no means of proving it since the messages have been erased? Even the one she claims ended it. How can I concentrate on this when my mind is always imagining and questioning what really happened? How can she establish trust when we won't see each other much and she works for this man? I'm an intellectual person who overthinks things. I know that if I attempt, I'll be subjecting myself to further mental torment on top of what's currently going on.